First contact facade. Commander Sarah Chen stood at the helm of the ESS Artemis, Earth's most advanced diplomatic vessel. At least, that's what the Galactic Assembly was meant to believe. In reality, the ship's humble exterior concealed capabilities that would make even the most advanced alien civilizations pause. Approaching Nexus Station, Commander, Lieutenant Rodriguez reported from his navigation console. They're transmitting docking protocols. Sarah nodded, maintaining the carefully crafted expression of wide-eyed wonder that had become second nature during their 6-month mission. Acknowledge their transmission. Remember, everyone, we're the new kids on the block. Wide-eyed, grateful, and just a bit overwhelmed. The Artemis glided toward the massive space station that served as the seat of the Galactic Assembly. The structure was a marvel of engineering, a gleaming spiral of metal and crystal that housed representatives from over 300 spacefaring civilizations. To most observers, the human vessel would appear painfully primitive compared to the sleek ships surrounding it. Most observers wouldn't notice the quantum sensors mapping every centimeter of the station, or the AI systems cataloging each vessel's energy signatures. They certainly wouldn't detect the microscopic drones already infiltrating the station's ventilation systems, gathering data that would be crucial for Earth's survival. First contact had occurred 18 months ago, when a Meridian survey ship entered Sol's system. Earth had been ready, broadcasting carefully crafted signals of excitement and peaceful intentions. The truth was, humanity had detected the approaching vessel 3 years earlier, using technology that supposedly wouldn't exist for centuries. Incoming transmission. Communications Officer Maya Patil announced. It's Ambassador Vexthor of the Assembly Welcome Committee. A holographic image materialized on the bridge. A tall, crystalline being whose translucent body pulsed with patterns of light. Greetings, ESS Artemis. We are honored to welcome humanity's first diplomatic delegation to Nexus Station. Please proceed to Docking Bay 17. Sarah bowed slightly. Thank you, Ambassador. We're grateful for this opportunity to join the galactic community. As the transmission ended, her first officer, James Sullivan, stepped closer. They've assigned us to the auxiliary diplomatic sector, he murmured, along with the other developing species. Perfect, Sarah replied quietly. Exactly where we want to be. Any word from our friends in the engineering section? James nodded imperceptibly. The quantum entanglement link is stable. Everything we're seeing is being transmitted real-time to Earth Command. The Artemis docked with practiced clumsiness, putting on a show of a crew still learning to navigate complex space maneuvers. As Sarah led her diplomatic team through the airlock, she took in every detail of their surroundings. The station's architecture was impressive, but her augmented vision detected subtle weaknesses in the structural design, defensive blind spots that no one else seemed to notice. Ambassador Vexthor waited with a small delegation. Welcome to Nexus Station. The crystalline being chimed. We have arranged quarters for your team in the diplomatic sector. Tomorrow, you will present Earth's petition for associate membership to the Assembly. We're honored, Sarah replied, letting a touch of nervousness enter her voice. Though I hope the Assembly won't find our technological development too primitive for consideration. A different alien, a massive, arthropodal being, clicked its mandibles in what might have been amusement. Fear not, young ones. Many species join the Assembly during their early spacefaring phase. We take pride in guiding developing civilizations. Sarah caught James, stifling a smile. If they only knew that Earth's quantum computing networks made their most advanced systems look like pocket calculators. As they were led through the station's corridors, Sarah's team played their roles perfectly. Dr. Emily Jong gasped appropriately at the zero-gravity gardens. Lieutenant Rodriguez asked carefully calculated, naive questions about basic technology, and Dr. Kumar recorded everything with obviously outdated equipment, while his neural implants captured terabytes of encrypted data. Their quarters were comfortable but basic, appropriate for a developing species. Once alone, Sarah activated the quantum privacy field, undetectable by any known scanning technology. Status report. Infiltration drones are in position, Maya reported. They've already mapped 60% of the station's critical systems. More importantly, we've confirmed our initial suspicions. There's definitely a militant faction within the Assembly pushing for more direct intervention in developing worlds. James brought up a holographic display showing intercepted communications. They're calling themselves the Guidance Council. Their official stance is protecting younger species from dangerous rapid advancement, but their actual discussions suggest something closer to technological suppression and resource exploitation. Sarah's expression hardened. Any indication they've seen through our facade? Quite the opposite, Emily added. We've intercepted several messages dismissing Earth as barely worth monitoring. One Guidance Council member suggested we might make good labor for their mining operations. Perfect. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Let's keep it that way. Tomorrow's presentation needs to walk the line perfectly. Just advanced enough to qualify for membership, but not so impressive as to draw unnecessary attention. As her team prepared for the next day's performance, Sarah sent a heavily encrypted update to Earth Command. Phase 1 proceeding as planned. Confirmation of hostile elements within Assembly. Recommend accelerating Phase 2 preparations. The response came instantly through the quantum link. Understood. Ghost Shield protocols at ready status. Continue gathering intelligence. Authorization for Phase 2 will depend on tomorrow's Assembly response. Sarah looked out the viewport at the sprawling station, its halls filled with beings who thought they were welcoming a naive young species into their midst. Little did they know that humanity had spent the last century preparing for this moment, hidden behind technological veils that made Earth appear centuries behind its actual development. The real question wasn't whether Earth would qualify for Assembly membership. The question was how long humanity would need to maintain this charade before the Guidance Council forced their hand. And when that moment came, the galaxy would learn that humanity's greatest weapon wasn't their hidden technology. It was their ability to let others underestimate them. As she watched the endless stream of alien vessels dock and depart, Sarah couldn't help but feel a mix of anticipation and concern. Tomorrow would be crucial, not just for her mission, but for humanity's place in the galaxy. They needed to appear humble enough to avoid suspicion, yet capable enough to gain access to the Assembly's inner workings. The stage was set, the players were in position, and humanity's greatest performance was about to begin. Get some rest, she told her team. Tomorrow, we show the galaxy exactly what they expect to see, and nothing more. Operation Ghost Protocol. Admiral Helena Reyes stood in Earth's hidden command center beneath the Pacific Ocean, watching as holographic displays showed the Artemis progress at Nexus Station. The massive underground facility, shielded by quantum fields and advanced cloaking technology, served as humanity's true military headquarters. Commander Chen's report confirms our worst fears. She addressed the assembled Joint Defense Council. The Guidance Council is planning to supervise Earth's development. Their definition of supervision includes resource extraction rights and technology restrictions. General Zhang Wei, commander of the Asian Defense Fleet, leaned forward. Then it's time for Ghost Protocol. We've hidden long enough. The chamber erupted in measured discussion. For over a century, humanity had maintained an elaborate deception, concealing their true technological advancement behind a facade of primitive development. The Ghost Protocol was their contingency plan, a carefully orchestrated revelation of Earth's true power. Signal from the Artemis. Lieutenant Park announced. The Assembly is preparing to vote on Earth's membership petition. Commander Chen reports the Guidance Council is already drafting protection measures. Admiral Rice straightened. Then we're out of time. Begin Phase 2. Across the solar system, hidden installations came to life. Beneath the lunar surface, massive hangar doors opened, revealing fleets of advanced warships. Mars's polar ice caps shimmered as cloaking fields deactivated, exposing sprawling military bases. Throughout the asteroid belt, automated defense platforms powered up their weapons systems. Ghost Shield disengaging, reported Captain Diana Martinez from her station. Quantum camouflage dissolving. The massive energy field that had hidden Earth's true face from alien observation for decades began to fade. Orbital shipyards, defense satellites, and energy collection arrays became visible to the watching universe. The primitive world the assembly thought they knew vanished, replaced by a heavily armed, technologically advanced civilization. At Nexus Station, Commander Chen and her team were preparing for their final act. The Artemis' humble exterior melted away, revealing its true form, a state-of-the-art command vessel bristling with weapons that most assembly species had never seen. Multiple incoming transmissions, Maya reported, allowing herself a small smile. The assembly is concerned about our sudden transformation. Sarah stood before the ship's communications array, her diplomatic facade replaced by confident authority. This is Commander Chen to Nexus Station. In light of certain assembly factions' plans for Earth, we feel it's time to correct some misconceptions about humanity's capabilities. The station erupted in chaos. Guidance Council members who had been planning Earth's exploitation hours earlier now watched in horror as their scans revealed the true extent of human military power. The supposedly primitive species had orbital defenses that could repel an invasion fleet, ships with technology centuries ahead of their expectations, and weapons that defied their understanding. On Earth, Admiral Rise activated a quantum channel to address the assembly directly. Her hologram appeared in their grand chamber, projecting calm authority. Distinguished representatives of the Galactic Assembly, I am Admiral Helena Reyes of the Earth Defense Force. We apologize for our previous discretion regarding our capabilities. She paused, letting the implications sink in. Humanity has no interest in conquest or dominion. We desire peaceful cooperation and fair trade. However, her voice hardened slightly. We will not accept exploitation or supervision of our world. Earth is not a resource to be harvested or a civilization to be controlled. The Assembly's reaction was a mixture of fear, outrage, and fascination. Some representatives immediately called for sanctions against Earth's deception. Others, particularly those from species who had suffered under the Guidance Council's protection, showed keen interest in alliance discussions. Multiple Assembly warships approaching Sol system, General Zhang reported to Admiral Reyes, appears to be a show of force from the militant factions. Reyes nodded calmly. Activate the Aegis Defense Network. Let's show them why subterfuge was unnecessary. We simply chose to be peaceful. Across the solar system, automated defense platforms locked onto the approaching vessels. Quantum entanglement beams prepared to disable their drives. Ghost ships, vessels that could phase through conventional shields, moved into intercept positions. The approaching fleet suddenly found themselves surrounded by technology they couldn't understand, weapons they couldn't counter, and defenses they couldn't breach. Their shows of force became exercises in humility. Message from the Assembly leadership, Lieutenant Park announced. They're requesting a recess to reconsider Earth's membership status. Admiral Reyes allowed herself a small smile. Inform them we're happy to continue membership discussions as equals, not subordinates. The next few hours would reshape the galaxy's power structure. Humanity had revealed itself not as a primitive species needing guidance, but as an advanced civilization that had chosen peace while preparing for war. The question now was how the Assembly would adapt to this new reality. In her quarters aboard the Artemis, Commander Chen finally allowed herself to relax. Status report from Earth Command, she asked to James. Ghost protocol completed successfully. No hostile action from Assembly forces. Several smaller powers are already requesting diplomatic channels. Seems they're interested in alliance talks. Sarah nodded, watching the still chaotic activity around Nexus Station. And the Guidance Council? Surprisingly quiet, James smiled. Amazing how peaceful they become when they realize they're not the biggest fish in the pond. The galaxy was changing. Humanity had stepped onto the cosmic stage, not as supplicants, but as equals. The deception was over, but the real work of building a new galactic order was just beginning. And Earth, hidden no longer, stood ready to help shape that future, through diplomacy if possible, through strength if necessary. The Coalition's gambit. 3 weeks after Earth's revelation, the galaxy was still adjusting to its new reality. In a private chamber of Nexus Station, Supreme Commander Kralfax of the Hegemony slammed his crystalline appendage against the conference table. 12 species have already broken their defense treaties with us, the massive being growled, all seeking independent negotiations with Earth. This cannot stand. Around the table sat representatives from the Assembly's most powerful militant factions. The Guidance Council's public facade had crumbled, replaced by a desperate alliance of species who saw their influence waning. The humans must be contained, hissed Director Valsha of the Zoraxian Empire. Our deep space sensors have detected their quantum communication networks spreading throughout the sector. They're establishing diplomatic relations with frontier worlds that once depended on our protection. Admiral Rise watched this meeting in real time through Earth's quantum surveillance network. In the Pacific Command Center, she turned to her staff. It seems subtlety is no longer their strong suit. Multiple fleets mobilizing near the Arcturus sector, General John reported. The Coalition, as they're calling themselves, is gathering forces. Rise nodded grimly. And our new allies. The Andromedan Republic has formally recognized Earth's sovereignty. The Regelian Confederation is offering trade routes. Smaller powers are practically lining up for protection agreements. Humanity's strategy was bearing fruit. While the Coalition planned for war, Earth had spent 3 weeks demonstrating its value as a partner. Human medical technology, previously hidden, was already saving lives across the galaxy. Earth's quantum communication networks offered instantaneous galaxy-wide communication, something even the most advanced species had thought impossible. But now, it seemed, diplomacy alone wouldn't be enough. Coalition fleet approaching the Proxima Centauri colony, Lieutenant Park announced. 700 ships. They're demanding our withdrawal from the system. Rays straightened. Deploy the Ghost Fleet. Let's show them why quantity isn't everything. The Coalition commanders watched in satisfaction as their massive armada approached the human colony. Their satisfaction turned to confusion when their sensors detected only 3 Earth vessels moving to intercept. This is Admiral Sarah Chen of the Earth Defense Force. A calm voice transmitted across the Coalition fleet. You are entering protected space. Withdraw immediately. Supreme Commander Kralfax's laughter boomed across the command channel. 3 ships against 700. Your arrogance will be your downfall. Humans. The Coalition fleet opened fire. Their energy weapons, powerful enough to shatter planets, streaked toward the Earth vessels. At the last moment, the human ships shifted. There was no other word for it. They existed in multiple places simultaneously, the laws of physics bending around them. Ghost drive engaged, Sarah reported calmly. Executing pattern Omega. The 3 Earth ships became 30, then 300, then 3,000. Quantum duplicates operating in parallel dimensions, each as real and deadly as the original. The Coalition fleet found itself surrounded, their superior numbers meaningless against an enemy that could literally be everywhere at once. Impossible, Kralfax whispered as his flagship systems began shutting down. Earth's quantum weapons didn't destroy their targets. They simply shifted them into a state of temporal suspension, frozen between moments. Within minutes, the greatest fleet the Coalition could muster hung motionless in space, its crews watching helplessly as their ships refused to respond. This is your only warning. Sarah's voice transmitted to the paralyzed fleet. Earth seeks peace, but we will not be threatened. You have 1 hour to signal your surrender before we're forced to take more permanent measures. In the Pacific Command Center, Admiral Rise watched the Coalition leadership descend into chaos. Signal from the Assembly Council, Lieutenant Park reported. They're calling for an emergency session. Apparently, several neutral powers are demanding the Coalition's immediate dissolution. The galaxy is rewriting itself, General Zhang observed quietly. Rise nodded. That was always the plan. Not conquest, not dominion, but a fundamental change in how species interact. The old power structures were built on intimidation and exploitation. We're offering something different. Across known space, the news spread rapidly. The Coalition's defeat marked more than a military victory. It represented the end of an era. Younger species, long suppressed by the dominant powers, began asserting their independence. Trade routes realigned. Diplomatic channels buzzed with new possibilities. And Earth, the world that had hidden its light for so long, emerged as something unique in galactic history. A power that had the strength to dominate but chose to elevate, to partner, to protect. On Nexus Station, Commander Chen met with representatives from 40 smaller worlds, all seeking Earth's assistance in developing their own defenses against exploitation. The old order was crumbling, and from its ashes, something new was emerging. "We'll help you protect yourselves," she told them. "But more importantly, we'll help you grow. Humanity remembers what it's like to be vulnerable. We hid our strength until we could use it to make a difference." As she spoke, quantum communication arrays were already being established in their systems. Medical ships were deploying. Educational exchanges were being arranged. Earth was sharing its advancement, but with a crucial difference from the old powers. They were teaching others to stand on their own, not creating new dependencies. The galaxy was changing, one world at a time, and humanity, no longer hiding in the shadows, was leading the way toward a future where strength meant responsibility, not dominion. "Send word to Earth Command," Sarah instructed her crew. "Phase 3 is complete. We're ready to begin building something new." Echoes of Terra. 6 months after the Coalition's defeat, Earth's influence echoed across the galaxy in unexpected ways. In the Grand Cultural District of Nexus Station, an unprecedented event was taking place, the first Galactic Arts Festival featuring human creative works. Dr. Arya Patel, Earth's cultural ambassador, stood before a diverse audience of alien species. Behind her, a human orchestra prepared to perform Beethoven's Ninth Symphony. The piece had been specifically chosen for its themes of unity and joy, emotions that transcended species barriers. Music, art, literature. These are the true measures of civilization. She addressed the gathering. Not our weapons, not our technology, but our capacity to create, to inspire, to share beauty across the stars. As the first notes filled the chamber, the impact was immediate. Species that communicated through color patterns found themselves swaying to rhythms they'd never experienced. Crystalline beings resonated with the harmonies. Empathic races were overwhelmed by the emotions conveyed through mere sound waves. In another section of the station, human scientists worked alongside alien researchers in newly established quantum laboratories. Dr. Marcus Wong, head of Earth's Scientific Exchange Program, guided a group of younger species in understanding the principles behind quantum communication. "The key isn't just the technology," he explained, "but understanding why we developed it this way. Every advancement Earth made was driven by our desire to connect, to explore, to grow while preserving peace." The former Coalition worlds watched these developments with a mixture of resentment and fascination. Their military defeat had been complete, but it was Earth's cultural and scientific influence that truly transformed the galaxy. Report from the Andromedan sector. Lieutenant Park informed Admiral Rice back on Earth. "Their adaptation of our quantum medical technology has reduced mortality rates by 60% across their colonies." Rice nodded, studying the holographic display of known space. Where there had once been rigid power blocks, new networks of cooperation were forming. Earth's philosophy of uplifting, rather than controlling, was creating a more stable galaxy. "Any movement from the remnants of the Coalition?" she asked. "Some interesting developments," General Zhang replied. 3 former Coalition species have requested cultural exchange programs. It seems exposure to Earth art and literature has sparked internal reform movements among their populations. On a frontier world that had once lived in fear of Coalition raids, Human engineers worked alongside local species to establish their first quantum shield network. But unlike the old powers, Earth's representatives were teaching them to maintain and improve the technology themselves. Independence through cooperation, Commander Chen observed during a diplomatic conference. That's the key difference between Earth's approach and the old system. We're not creating dependencies, we're fostering growth. The galaxy was learning that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their advanced technology or military power. It was their ability to innovate, adapt, and most importantly, share their knowledge while encouraging others to develop their own paths. In the arts district of Nexus Station, an alien child of a species that perceived reality through electromagnetic fields created their first painting after being inspired by human visual art. In the medical sector, a collaboration between human and Rigelian doctors led to breakthroughs in treating conditions that had plagued both species. We're tracking an interesting phenomenon, Dr. Paddle reported to Earth Command. Worlds that adopt our open exchange protocols are experiencing rapid advancement in unexpected areas. It's not just about technology. Their arts, philosophy, and social structures are evolving. The quantum networks that Earth had established weren't just for communication or defense. They became conduits for cultural exchange, allowing species that could never physically meet to share ideas, art, and knowledge. This was always the true goal, Admiral Reyes reflected during a council meeting. Not just revealing our strength, but showing why we developed it. Every advancement Earth made was with the purpose of protecting and nurturing our potential to create, to explore, to grow. As the orchestra's performance concluded, the alien audience sat in stunned silence before erupting in their various forms of appreciation. Art had accomplished what centuries of diplomacy couldn't, creating genuine understanding between vastly different forms of life. The galaxy was learning that power came in many forms. Military might could win battles, but it was culture, creativity, and cooperation that truly changed civilizations. Earth's emergence from hiding had started with a show of force, but its lasting impact came from something far more profound, the shared dreams and aspirations that united all sentient beings. Begin preparations for Phase 5, Admiral Reyes instructed her staff. It's time to show the galaxy that our greatest achievements have nothing to do with weapons or technology. We're going to teach them why humanity spent centuries preparing not just to survive in the cosmos, but to help it thrive. In the vastness of space, Earth's influence continued to spread, not through conquest or coercion, but through the simple, powerful act of sharing what made humans human, their art, their dreams, their endless capacity for growth and change. New Dawn. 1 year after Earth's emergence, the galaxy gathered for a historic moment. The Great Council Chamber of Nexus Station, once dominated by the old powers, now hosted representatives from every known spacefaring civilization, including formerly marginalized species. Admiral Helena Reyes stood at the podium, facing the assembled delegates. The chamber's quantum arrays broadcasted her words instantly across thousands of worlds. A year ago, humanity revealed its true face to the galaxy, she began. Today, we gather not to celebrate our strength, but to mark the beginning of a new era of genuine cooperation. The Galactic Assembly was being reformed. The old hierarchy that had allowed powerful species to dominate weaker ones was being replaced by a new structure, one based on mutual respect and shared growth. We detect unusual activity in the Outer Rim, Lieutenant Park reported quietly to General Zhang. The last coalition holdouts are mobilizing. Zhang nodded calmly. Right on schedule. They couldn't resist one final attempt. A fleet of ships from the remnant coalition powers emerged from hyperspace near Nexus Station. Their leaders, unable to accept the new order, had planned one desperate strike at the heart of the reformed assembly. But the galaxy they faced was no longer divided and weak. Before Earth's defense forces could even respond, ships from 24 different species moved to intercept. Worlds that had once been bitter rivals now acted in concert, using technology and tactics they'd developed themselves, inspired by but not dependent on Earth's assistance. "Stand down," came the unified command from the combined fleet. "The age of dominion through force is over." In the council chamber, Admiral Rice continued her address, seemingly unconcerned by the drama unfolding outside. "Earth hid its advancement not out of fear, but because we needed to understand. We watched, we learned, and we saw both the beauty and the flaws in how the galaxy operated." The coalition fleet, faced with unity rather than division, had no choice but to withdraw. Their last gambit had only served to demonstrate how much the galaxy had changed. "Humanity's greatest achievement wasn't our technology," Rice continued. "It was learning that true power lies in lifting others up, not holding them down." The new Galactic Charter was signed that day. Earth, despite its strength, accepted the same status as other worlds. The quantum networks that had once been a military secret were now the backbone of a galaxy-wide exchange of knowledge and culture. "Signal from the Outer Rim," Commander Chen reported to Earth Command. "The last coalition world has requested admission to the cultural exchange program. Their youth are particularly interested in human artistic traditions." Admiral Rice smiled. "Send them everything. Art, music, literature, especially the stories of how humanity overcame its own divisions." The galaxy was entering an unprecedented age of peace and discovery. Species that had been enemies for millennia now collaborated on massive engineering projects. Ancient knowledge, long hoarded by powerful worlds, was freely shared through the quantum networks. "We're detecting something remarkable," Dr. Paddle reported from the Cultural Division. "As different species share their perspectives and creations, entirely new forms of art and expression are emerging. The galaxy isn't just growing technologically, it's experiencing a cultural renaissance." Earth's influence had catalyzed something greater than military power or technological advancement. By choosing to share rather than dominate, humanity had shown the galaxy a different path. "Final reports coming in," Lieutenant Park announced. "The last of the old defense pacts have been replaced by mutual cooperation agreements. The Quantum Shield Network now protects 94% of known inhabited worlds." But perhaps most significantly, Earth was no longer unique in its approach. Other worlds had embraced the philosophy of advancement through cooperation, developing their own methods of uplifting younger civilizations. In her private quarters after the ceremony, Admiral Rice looked out at the transformed Nexus station. "Send word to Earth Command," she instructed. "Mission accomplished. Phase 5 complete." "And what now?" Commander Chen asked. Rice smiled. Now we do what humanity does best. We explore, we create, we grow, but not alone, never alone again." The galaxy had learned humanity's greatest lesson. True strength lies not in the ability to dominate, but in the wisdom to cooperate, the courage to trust, and the vision to see beyond ancient rivalries to a future where all species could rise together. Earth had hidden its light for centuries, preparing for a moment not of conquest, but of transformation. In revealing their strength, humanity had shown the galaxy not just what they could do, but what everyone could become. As the new council concluded its first session, the quantum networks carried a simple message to every world. The dawn of a new age isn't marked by the rise of one power, but by the elevation of all. The galaxy would never be the same, and that had been humanity's plan all along.